Well, hello. Okay, so I will explain what I did with Kane, and as I named it Adventure with Kane, it has been an adventure certainly. So, one of the most basic problems that I have ever faced while working with a big PRD or a continuous project is that often Claude loses a lot of context when it's working. And recently, I had a freelance project of working on changing a UI for a product. Keeping the UI for the product same and applying a new backend from somewhere. And it was just a 3-4 page change. I had a great PRD, phased implementation, all those things. But still, during its implementation, it butchered all of those pages and created a completely new UI. So that is an actual issue that I have faced in our workflows, especially with long-running projects. So what did we do here? And I'm really sorry, I might go in a good amount of detail because it actually solved my problem. So why not? So first, we downloaded this to-do open source project, and I asked Claude, and Claude with Kane. I'll explain the setup with Kane later. So after you've seen the result, you understand who did it. But in a very simple task, they both work pretty much same. This is the baseline version. This is the Kane version. So both of them are like very similar. If you check text, this is the Kane version and this is the baseline version. You might see one issue that the cross button comes over the medium, and in the Kane version, it is particularly aligned. Uh, this happened because we have something very special with our setup. Okay, but everything else is pretty much functional. The strike through works very similar. So what we did, we went into a new thing. I tried to implement a new thing with room booking. Uh, tried to make it more complex with more fields, something like that, and added some more details. But I realized soon that we are working with Claude, and this is not 2023 where it might have messed this up. So they both work pretty fine. But we found some issues that were drifting away from the determined UI. So this room booking by the baseline is vertically stacked, but I wanted a really like design of horizontally stacked. So this is what Kane pushed Claude to build within the PRD, not drifting away. So I realized when you add some more fields, Claude starts messing it up. Next, the biggest thing I did was to create a financial dashboard. The PRD will be in the repo itself, and it was a pretty big PRD, sorry, for the project, multiple screens, multiple cards. And let me show you two things. This is the first one, pretty good, I guess, for a first time implementation. You see, and this is with Kane, much more neater at the first look, but you might say both of them did a great job at it. But here's where everything is messed up. This with Kane is defined entirely as the PRD. Like if you read the PRD line by line, you'll see everything is defined as per the PRD. There is zero drift. And I mean zero drift because I have calculated the drift per line of code, and that is in the log file. And you can test it out yourself as well. And now where did Claude mess up? First of all, the chart is completely destroyed. It is not what was asked. The thing that was asked was real-time tracking and a baseline. That's what happens in a real trading chart. Second, it was asked to create two horizontally stacked and then vertically stacked layouts that you might see particularly built in with Kane. During its implementation, Claude completely messed up and forgot what the implementation was. And you can see there is this generic card layout, gapping issues as well, and the layout is not followed. Another thing, you see this overlay. This was not solved by Claude. It forgot that it had to test the complete overlay because of multiple cards and their drop downs. So in any of those, you can see this overlay goes in the background. So it missed out on this as well. The other thing, there was a strict guideline to only build the overview page, but it completely messed that up and kept all the pages similar to the overview page. That distinction it drifted away while it was implementing because sometimes of the context window and sometimes also because of the planning. Now coming to overview page, what it did, the chart is superbly defined, well functional. The layout is particularly very good, and you can see when I click it, the popover works as defined in the PRD. All the vertical stack layouts are as per defined. The hover effects are there, and we have an alerts also that is completely working here. This okay, it missed the dismiss button. Ah, then I guess dismiss is working here. Okay, so somewhere Claude did win, and we'll have to check why this got messed up. But more or less, it worked fine. It worked as defined, and in comparison to this, having a dismiss button working is much less of a task. And what else? All the other pages are blank because it knows it had to only build the overview page. Now this is all because of how Kane and Claude architected the solution. And before we do anything, mind you, this is Claude, I guess 4.6 with low thinking, and the Kane for the Kane version, and the baseline version was built by Claude Sonnet 5. So I dialed down the version, a lower thinking model, to check if Kane is actually helping in better reasoning for the product. So what it did. What happens is after brainstorming a lot with Gemini and ChatGPT, I determined that Orbital UI created a great PRD for it and gave the same PRD to both the setup. The normal setup, Claude uses the skills that I already have, like superpowers and some design trace front end kind of things, and worked as it was asked. Now, what was the setup with Kane? Effectively, first, what it does, is it takes your PRD, ingests it, understands, breaks it down, and does whatever you people at Kane have designed it to do. The next thing it does is read some predefined skills that I have made for it, and then grills me back on my PRD to see if me as the builder is not hallucinating and it as the AI is not hallucinating and not building phases on its own. So after that PRD grilling is done, it creates very defined sections or phases in which it will build the product. And before the product is even begin to code, based on the inference from the PRD, it then determines the test suite. So the test suite is pre-built before the code was written. So the problem where the AI is evaluating its own code is effectively gone because Claude writes the code, Kane evaluates and builds the test. So what happens? Takes the PRD, takes the sections, start coding. When it says it is done, it completes a stage and it claims that it is done. Then when it's done, a stop fires, it checks what the thing was implemented, runs the test suite. If the test suite passes, it then does a browser run with Kane, verifies everything is working, and then it puts into a Kane verified state. And when that state is verified, only then Claude can move to the next state. And if it doesn't verify, it finds a problem, it writes back to Claude, it fixes it, and it tests again, and when it's fixed, it moves to the next section. Very simple, very clean workflow, and this is the result of it. Now this is a very big log file. It can be found in the repository, and I will link this artifact as well. It will tell you entirely how it worked. And one more thing, this hard 8 hours wall clock, please don't mind this. For the first 5 hours, my Claude limit was actually 0, so I had to wait. So please don't think it worked for 8 hours. Otherwise, this workflow is not helpful to any one of us. So you can see there are many tests failed, it asserts, it makes some reasons, it sends to Claude, and when it is not able to verify after 3 tries on a new bug, it will then send it to the human to review it, and you can review it, override it, and it will log that as a human overwritten, and in the next stage when it works, it will remember that. And why is that? Because in the meantime, when I was working with it, I found some specific bugs that were coming up one by one in all the phases. And my issue was, I once have already overridden it. I have given you the reason why I need to override it, and it was specifically a hover bug which was not working on the headless browser. I don't know why. I need to look at it, but we'll look at it later. The hover was not working, and effectively in all the phases there were hover components. So I once overridden it, gave it the reason, and in the next stage, it again gave me that same human review and wasted my 1 hour because I was thinking it would work on its own, and I was free. I left it unworking and went away. But when I came back, I realized it stuck. So then came the idea to give Kane its own memory in the project. So I built a simple memory graph for Kane where it stores what it has already found, what was overwritten or why, what was the human's input, and what the human actually wants from you, what the PRD actually wants. And so that if a bug appears, it checks back this memory. Have I ever seen it? Or does it appear in my memory? And if there is a solution, puts it there and tries to avoid the overridden state and the pause state so that it can continuously work. So this happened on T3, I realized, because I overrid. And you can see on T4, there was again a human write. Then after that, you won't see a human override. And this human override in T9 is effectively it using again the memory, because I exactly remember it happening. So now exactly when it human overrides, it will also write why it override because of a previous bug. So this, while working, I saw a problem and solved it again with memory. So what happens is it can now clearly determine that failure is exactly not broken. Some things can fail just because of the limitations of the hardware or the way it's functioning or the environment where it's working. It's obviously not always the code that is messing up. And most of the agents do mess up there where they treat every failure as broken. So it gets an effective intelligence of brokenness over failure. And this is what helps the entire project, especially a long running project, to work better because at every stage it is verifying against the PRD if the code is in line with the PRD, if the implementation is in line with what we have thought, and are the test suite that I have devised based on the PRD working with the code, and if not, is it a problem with the code or is it a problem with my test or my environment? So the distinction is very important, and this is what helps this entire setup solve a big problem in my workflow especially, and I believe in the workflow of a lot of devs that have used Claude Code. And one more important thing that I did, but I cannot verify it yet, I uh, gave it the knowledge of the context window for the agents that were being used, especially for Claude. And before the context fills up, Kane advises Claude to have a compact and keep the details. And I also align it to be in memory so that if during a compact needed information is missed out, Kane can get it back to Claude. But this is a in development feature, and because of time and I could not test it, but I believe that will also bring a substantial amount of improvement in the workflow. So this is how this works. The setup, the installation, everything is pretty simple in the repo. There is a shell script that you can just run. It implements all the skills that you might require for setting up your Kane, authentication, the JS files for inspection, loggers, everything is there. I believe it's a one-click setup. I'll test it again to ensure that anyone who tries to use it gets the benefit of it. And yes, this is what I did in my adventure with Kane. And well, it cannot help any agent that does not know how to code. And I'm really sorry, people at Gemini. Your coding agent doesn't do good with any kind of external help. I tried a lot and burned a lot of credits with it, but still, sorry, Gemini. And kudos, Kane. This works really great. It solved a big problem for me. But one thing I have realized is credit consumption is a lot that needs to be monitored. Also, I realized it can get stuck in between. That is mostly solved with the override and the memory. Credits is something that I have to look at because the consumption is a lot. I believe it was most because of testing. And if we reduce down and efficiently cater to the core features or group testing together while we are doing the browser testing, that can help save token. But yeah, this is my adventure with Kane. And this product is called Guardian Kane. So I hope you like it. Thanks.